Warm welcome to you. It's this week's edition of The Whistleblower. My name is Ian Trent, and joining me is another fantastic panel of water polo personalities. First up, we have the former FINA referee and long-standing coach nationally and internationally. Good evening to Phil Bauer.
Hello, Ian. Great to be with you again today.
Nice to be with you too. Now, our first rookie panellist is a former Australian representative. She's the most decorated Australian player ever. How good is that? A gold medalist at the Olympics, the World Championships and the World Cups. In fact, two of them. No one else has done that. Also a top coach. Throw in an MBE or an OBE or whatever you've got there. But she is a rookie on the Whistleblower panel. Good evening, Deb Watson.
Good evening, everyone. It's a bit late for me, actually, so a rookie, that's why I am a rookie.
I just wanted to put you into, into your perspective there. Another rookie panellist, first time for the ex-Australian junior team player, and also a member of one of the great Balmain families. Welcome, Nick Falzon.
Thanks, Vinny. True to beat you, mate.
There you are, you've popped up. Fantastic to have you on board. Soon is our special guest, Erkin Shagaev. A couple of communication notes. I wonder if they're going to flick up onto the screen. Our audience questions. If you've got an audience question, look at the bottom of your screen, right? The Q&A box, give it a little tap there, and you can write a question for our panel about rules, you can talk to Erkin Shagaev about anything you like, and or any of the panel. And we guarantee that we'll get it on if we possibly can. Our email is normally shot up onto the screen. Now it's not there. Our whistleblower polo@gmail.com. Instagram, whistleblower polo. Hashtag who is TWB, the whistleblower. Our Facebook page, hashtag whistleblower. And of course, our YouTube page where you can watch it. Oh, there it is. Our YouTube page. And you can see it up there. And you can watch it on replay if you really want to, or tell your friends that we're on. Fantastic.
Ian, could I just send out a cheerio to Scotty Swikel, who had a bad accident during the week, and that's why our technical side isn't where it should be.
Well, I was going to lead you into that, Phil, but now you've done it. Scotty had a nasty accident, but it's good that he's okay.
Definitely is. Yeah, and we wish him all the best.
It could have been a lot worse. So anyhow, all the best, mate. And we're still working hard in the background for us. Now, some news. Water Polo Australia announced that their national team money has come through. That is good news, Phil. Until when? Till the Tokyo Olympics and a bit after?
Yeah, I think it's till June 2022, if I can remember correctly. Yeah. So it's a start to the paracycle.
Was there a bit of doubt about that, or?
I think that's where they go for up to June. So to get Tokyo in, they had to go at least till 2022, June 2022. Okay. They're all annual, the grants.
That's very.
Why wouldn't they go right through to 2024?
Because they don't know how we're going.
The next cycle.
So they might know how much money they're going to have.
And they want us. I'm sure it's results based on the Olympics as well. How about any news on the Australian Water Polo League season, Phil? Have you heard anything about when, where, why, how it's going to be conducted?
It's very fluid, especially if the border's starting to open up. Personally, I think we might be looking at a chance of having close to a full National League season.
That would be good.
Yeah, probably just depend on what WA is going to do.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to open up. I think there'll be no problem about that. It's a matter of when. Weren't they looking at a December start or a late November start? Maybe it might end up being January. What do you think?
No, it was always going to be late January.
Okay.
That was agreed to, I believe. Yeah, so it was going to be late January. The only fly of the ointment could also be the women's side, where I believe they're going into camp for a number of months. So whether their players would be 20 players would be available. Not sure.
Hey, Phil, do you think that will give them enough time to get themselves organised? If it starts late January, that's only 2 months.
Yeah, but there was a thing that went out. They had 4 different scenarios, Danny. You know, with the last one being just a week-long tournament. You know, whether they're past starting in January, I'm not quite sure. But you know, if West Australia opens up, you know, it's now only Victoria that'll be closed, and West Australia is open to Queensland, South Australia, Northern Territory, and Tasmania. It's just not open at the moment to Sydney, to New South Wales. So yeah, there's a possibility, isn't there?
Distinct possibility. Okay, we shall see what occurs. All right, now let's have a look at refereeing. Danny Flav's there in the middle of my screen anyhow, and we say hello to him. And of course, Danny is the leading referee in Australia. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you once again being on here. Welcome, Deb, Nick.
You're looking
Thanks, Danny.
You're looking remarkably healthy for someone who's been out of lockdown.
Well, we've just come out of lockdown. We don't have our 25k zone anymore. And you wouldn't believe it, but the last 2 days in Melbourne's been absolutely sensational. So we've been able to sneak out and get a bit of sun. It's been great.
Fantastic. I bet you've got stuck into a few other things as well, as far as the beverages.
A couple.
The beverages. Okay. Danny, what do you got for us today? As usual, I've really been enjoying these question and answer sessions.
Yeah, well, hopefully got a couple more uncommon scenarios that happen during a game. And if we can get the first one up, we'll see how we go and where we go with it.
Here we go.
Okay, I'll just read out. So here we have a defensive player is excluded. While he or she is swimming towards the re-entry area, their team regain possession of the ball. So a player's been excluded. As he's swimming to the re-entry box, they've regained possession of the ball. So the player doesn't go to the re-entry area, but turns around and swims back into attack without interfering with the game. Okay, so in this situation, everyone will be wondering, well, he didn't go to the re-entry area, so surely he's come back into play, even though they're in attack, that it has to be a penalty because he didn't leave the field of play. Well, all it is just another exclusion. So that player is excluded once again. They turn the ball over and they reset to 30 seconds. So it's no penalty, nothing for the game, no red card. It's just a mistake by the player who should have went out. So all he does is he's excluded again. So then he's got two personal fouls now, and he has to go back to the re-entry box, change possession, new 30 seconds.
And of course, in the old days, there was a heap of drama and penalties and people getting multiple. Well, you still get your multiple fouls, but
yes, so you still get two personal. Yeah, still get 2 personal fouls. It just makes it a lot more easier and understandable. So, you know, the player's made a mistake. It's not, you know, he hasn't interfered with the game. His team's in attack. So it's just another exclusion, turn the ball over and reset to 30.
Okay.
We'll try to, the next one will be good. Okay, a white player is awarded free throw inside 6 metres. The ball is on 7 metres. Another white player immediately puts the ball in the play and starts faking or starts balking. At that moment, a defender inside 6 metre area raises both hands to block the ball. Okay, what happens in this situation is, even though the foul was inside 6 metres and the ball's outside 7 metres, the player puts the ball in a play. So that ball is now live. Even though the player can't shoot the ball because the foul was inside 6 metres and the ball was outside, the ball is still live. So if a defender tries to block a pass, because that's all that can happen because the player can't shoot, and then they're inside 6 metres, blocks the pass with 2 hands, it has to be a penalty. Reason being, they're inside 6 metres. And any block from a pass or a shot with 2 hands is a penalty. If that defender was outside 6 metres and they block both hands, then it's an exclusion. But it's every day of the year. If they block with 2 hands inside 6 metres, it has to be a penalty. A bit of confusion because people are saying, "Oh, but he couldn't shoot anyway." It doesn't matter. Rule states from a shot or a pass inside 6 metres, penalty.
Just a question,
Yep.
If you can raise both hands and not block the ball, is that correct?
No. No.
You can't raise both hands.
No, inside 6 metres, so in front of the goals, because by raising both hands, you're trying to block the ball no matter what. So, and you don't know where the attacking player is going to pass the ball, but if a defender's got both hands up inside 6 metres, it's a penalty.
So, Danny, when do you blow the penalty? Before, as soon as he raises both hands up?
As soon as he raises both hands, you don't even give him the opportunity for the attacker to pass the ball, or whatever he's going to do with it, because we can't say what the player's going to do. But as soon as he puts the ball into play, and the defender puts both hands up, we call the penalty immediately.
So does the attacker need to be looking at the goals?
No, because it's a pass. It doesn't matter, because we're assuming, which we shouldn't do, but he can't shoot anyway. So all good players know that. So it's going to be a pass no matter what. And you don't have to be looking at the goals to pass the ball, because it might be a 2-on-1 situation in front of goals when this happens. And so if I can pass to a person 2-on-1, it's going to be a probable goal anyway. So as soon as they put their 2 hands up, we immediately blow for a penalty. Okay, we can go for the next one. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, a neutral throw was awarded. Before this, the white team was in possession of the ball. Okay, after a shot by a white player, the ball strikes an overhead obstruction. So it hits the roof, hits a wire, hits the flags. Okay, so when it strikes an overhead obstruction, it has to be a neutral throw. Okay, so what we had was the white team was in possession of the ball. They had a shot, deflected, hit the roof, let's say. Okay, then we had the referees called a neutral throw, and the white team wins the ball again. Okay, the possession time is reset to. Like this is it's a tricky one, but it's a very easy one to understand. Any neutral ball at any time, the clock has to be reset to 30. No matter who was in possession of the ball beforehand, no matter who took the shot, or no matter which team wins the ball after it's been thrown back into the pool by the referee. Any neutral throw, the possession time resets to 30. So I think it's an unusual one, but I think if people understand it, if it's a neutral throw, the clock resets to 30. Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Phil.
there are 3 questions.
Yep.
Yeah, I've just got one question for Danny, because it's come up at a couple of states that have contacted me, and it's the taking of a free throw, Danny. How long do you have to take the free throw once it's awarded?
Okay, look, any free throw, the rules actually stipulate it's undue delay. That's how they put it in the rule book. But we've always said, and at all TWC meetings we go to, and all referee meetings we have in Australia and anywhere in the world, the undue delay is between 1, 2, 3 seconds. Okay, so you still got between 1, 2, and 3 seconds to play the ball. So you don't have to play the ball immediately. You have got that time to play the ball. If you don't play within that 2, 3 seconds, well, then it's a turnover. If they don't have an immediate shot and they hold the ball for that 3 second time, and then they shoot, that's a turnover, because the rules stipulate immediate shot from a minor foul or from a free throw. Okay, so and what's happening is in a lot of situations now is players are getting the foul, the minor foul, and they're playing the ball straight away. So in doing so, the defending player can attack them straight away. Even if they didn't get a chance to move back, if they've played the ball straight away, they can then defend the player. So if you're not going to shoot it from an immediate foul, and you hold the ball for that time, and the defender doesn't move away, there's the exclusion. So we've got to be careful that it's immediate shot. It's not immediate playing of the ball. So if we're holding that ball for those couple of seconds and the defender doesn't move away, easy exclusion. So if players take it upon themselves to play the ball straight away, that's their own prerogative.
Right, so it's called separation, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so sometimes, as we said, if you're not going to have the shot from immediate foul, you have that time to hold the ball and look what's going on. And then it gives the referee, then you're making the referee make a decision. did that defender move away or didn't they? Or have I held the ball too long and then I call a turnover? So, and if you played it, as I said earlier, if you played a ball straight away, you're then given the option for the defender to attack you straight away. Does that make it a bit more clear?
Yes, it does. Now, Danny, people have been playing around the countryside for, what, 2 or 3 weeks now. And I know myself, being an ordinary referee, very ordinary, and I'm refereing with ordinary people.
Oh, that what you meant?
Hey, so we're all ordinary, less than average. I think there's still a lot of misunderstanding about the penalty situation, front water, right? And all I say to anybody is, well, as far as I know, you've just, after listening to this session for a long time, if the centre forward is turns or the player in front is turned,
yes,
or has front water, as long as they're making a great attempt to go for goal, they can have a shot.
Yep.
If they have a shot, no problem. If they're prevented from having a full blast at it, well, it's a penalty. Is that right?
Yep. Every day of the week. If they've got front water and they're attacking the goals and trying to score a goal, that's the big thing now. We want to see these players trying to score a goal. If you play for the penalty and not trying to score a goal, the referee cannot call a penalty in that situation. You've got to be wanting to score a goal. So it's all about facing the goals, in front water, only the goalie to beat, trying to score a goal. And if you're holding the ball and you're grabbed, fouled, whatever, penalty straight away.
Okay. But you can still have a shot.
Absolutely. They encourage, or good experienced referees can judge what's going on and hopefully get the player to score a goal, because we want to see goals scored. We don't want to see a referee come in and call the penalty. So a lot of people say, oh, well, the referee's interfered with it. But sometimes you have to. But yes, we want to give advantage and we want to score a goal. But we've got to be smart in how we're doing it. Now, if you take a drowns you or hits you on the head or grabs your arm, then in that situation, the best option to do is just call the penalty straight away. Then there's no confusion whatsoever.
No confusion.
No confusion.
I beg to differ. There is confusion there, but you've made it a little clearer for sure. Danny, thank you. Have you got anything else to add, any members of the panel? No. Okay.
Come
Danny,
on, Nick, you've got something always to say about referees.
Well, I thought he would have. No, I'll get the nod. Okay. Danny, thanks for joining us, mate. Enjoy the lack of lockdown.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good show.
There he was, Danny Flav, with our referee segment. Let's move along now to our very, very special guest. And of course, he is the former Australian and Russian national men's team coach. And of course, an Olympic gold medalist for the Soviet Union during their absolute glory days. We welcome to the show, Erkin Shagaev. Hi, Erkin.
Hello, Trent. How are you? Good to see you.
Lovely to see you too. All right, it's going to be a good session. We're going to talk a little bit. You've been a controversial character in Australian water polo for the last whatever number of years, 25 years. But we're going to find out about Erkin the man and his background in this session tonight. And let's kick it off with where it all started. You were born in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. Now, I'd say 1961 because that was the year. I've only seen Uzbekistan on Joanna Lumley's television show, The Silk Road or whatever it was. And I've got to say, Uzbekistan looked beautiful. Tell us a bit about the country.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say that I'm pleased to see everyone and thank you for having me here at this show. Secondly, I was born in 1959, not 61. Well, that's okay.
Oh, thank you for that, Phil.
Yeah.
Is that you or somebody else? Anyhow, there we go. 59.
I also, in regard to
couple.
Uzbekistan, yes, I know not many people know very close or where it is. But at the same time, I remember the expression of Paul Keating, who was saying that Australia was the bottom end of the world, or some other expression was there, which was obviously a joke, but a very funny one. Anyway, Australia is a beautiful country, and one of the reasons that I'm here is that in 1985 I came here for the first time and fell in love. This is a beautiful country, and I'm very happy to be here and today speak to you, Trent, and to the other ones. Thank you for having me.
So, Erkin, how did you get into playing water polo in Uzbekistan? And what was the progression of you at 9 or 10 years old starting to play? And then how did you work your way into the USSR system?
Well, I started to do swimming classes first. Two young coaches came to my school and asked who wanted to do swimming, and I raised my arm, and that's how I started to do swimming classes. After 1 year, I switched to water polo, and since then, I've been in water polo all my life. Obviously, my junior team was taking part in the national championships of the USSR, Soviet Union. And it was a multi-staged competition because of a large number of teams participating in it. And my team from Tashkent managed to make it to top 6, the grand final of the national USSR championships for this age group. And having taken part there, I was noticed by the national coaches, and my first international tournament for the Soviet Union was in 1975 at an international tournament in Poland for the best Eastern European, Eastern Bloc countries, not Eastern Bloc countries. And it was Hungary, it was Soviet Union, it was Cuba, it was Czechoslovakia, it was Poland, and other countries, Bulgaria. Now, in 1975, that was the Soviet Union under 17th team, and I was 15 at the time. We won it. It was a very good experience for me. Well, I did well, I think. And the next year, which was 1976, the same tournament was held in Sofia, Bulgaria. And we won it again. And at that tournament, I got my first international award for the, well, I was given the award for the top goal scorer. So I scored more goals than anyone else at that tournament, and we won it. And I was 16 then, and no, 17. And I was invited to the senior USSR squad in 1976 at the age of 17 and a half. That was immediately after the Olympic Games in Montreal. But if you have questions in regard to that, I can answer them, yes.
Yeah, it's Erkin, Nick here, and always good to see you, mate. Yeah, very well, thank you. Do you mind, I mean, I've spoken to you a little bit about this in the past, but can you talk a little bit about, to everyone listening tonight, about the circumstances of coming into that team in 76, maybe a little bit about the recent history of the USSR team and how strongly they had performed over many years, with the exception of the 76 Olympics. And so what was the environment that you came into that team? Because obviously quite a very, very interesting period and challenging period for the Russia or USSR team following 76.
Yes, water polo in the former Soviet Union was having its beginnings at the beginning of the previous century. You know, it started to develop before World War II, but good development occurred after the World War II. You know, particularly when Hungary became a part of the socialist sphere of influence. And from then on, the Soviets often went to Hungary. The Hungarians came to the USSR. And that's how, you know, the knowledge and experience was developed in the Soviet Union as well, in addition to obviously their own sort of developments in that sport and other sports. Anyway, everyone in Australia knows about the Melbourne Olympic Games, where the Soviet Union came third, and then there were bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympic Games. A silver medal was won in Mexico in 1968. And the first Olympic gold medal for the Soviet Union was won in 1972 in Munich. Between 1972 and 76, the Soviet Union was, dominating the world stage. They won the World Championships in 1975. And the team arrived in Montreal in 1976 with no less stars than gold medal. Even silver would have been not what they were planning for. But unfortunately, it's a different story. It's different analysis. It was a disaster, and the team came 8th only. After that, the coach was dismissed. The team was dismantled, and then a new crop of players was invited. Among them was myself. Now, I was only 17 and a half, and I did not get to play for the Soviet Union under-20 national junior team, obviously because I was engaged with the senior team. And from then on, between 76 and 1980, I was among 52 athletes who went through this meat grinder to make the team in 1980, 11 players who took part at the Olympic Games in Moscow. It was a very difficult period. In 77, that was my first official international tournament. That is, when I say official, European Championship. That was, we came 4th only. In 78, it was World Championships in West Berlin. We came 4th only. In 1979, the very first World Cup that was held in the former Yugoslavia, we came 4th again. And there were some dramas, some circumstances. But by 1980, a new team emerged in the Soviet Union after, difficult years. And I remember how difficult it was for me. Why was it difficult? First of all, because we were coming 4th only at every major tournament. That was not what was expected of the team. In 1977 at the European Championships, I felt very well, and I was, even though I was the youngest player there, I did very well, was one of the best. But in 1978 at the World Championships, and that is my own judgment, I probably would rank myself one of the worst in that team. Why? Because I did not feel well, physically. When you talk about it and say quickly, I made Olympic Games, it sounds easy, but in fact, after the World Championships in 1978, my chances to make Olympic team were very slim. I was transferred from what would be the first list of the players, top list of the players, what would be described as the second list of the players. And why that was? Because, I was not demonstrating the game that was expected of me. And why I was not demonstrating it? Because I did not feel well. Why I did not feel well physically? I analyzed it, I thought about it for a long time, and later on, particularly when the sports science, developed to new heights, and when I was myself coach, I was thinking about mid-altitude training camps for my teams. And what happened to me that condition when I didn't have energy occurred after mid-altitude training camp with the Soviet national team in end of November, December 1978. No, 1977, sorry, 1977. There we were for 2 weeks roughly, and it was mainly conditioning camp where, among other things, we did between 5 to 10 kilometers a day swimming. And I was very conscientious always as an athlete, as a coach, in any other capacity. And I was doing my utmost and, just at full capacity. And most likely it was not what was required. There should have been probably some different regime, different intensity. And unfortunately, I did not get proper advice at the time because, you know, even though sports science in the Soviet Union was rather advanced compared to some other countries at the time, it still was not advanced enough, or, you know, not enough research was done, and we did not have a specialist sort of medical officer who could have been observing me, watching, and also, you know, doing some objective monitoring of my systems, of my body. Anyway, the bottom line that I came back from this camp, and we were given personal tasks as to what we should be doing on our own when we were back in our clubs, and I was doing it conscientiously. And again, it was rather voluminous amount of additional work, because my club mates did not have to do it. I did it for myself.
Yeah. Erkin, can I just jump in? Erkin, can I just jump in and ask you something? You said in 1976, after the Olympics, the coach was fired.
Yeah.
And then you had a lot of fourth places, and the association or the country wasn't happy. Did the coach stay in place, or did you have a different coach going forward?
No, the coach that brought first gold to the Soviet Union was Anatoly Blumenthal. He's an excellent, famous coach, and he also was the one under whom the team won the World Championships in 1975. He was the coach in Montreal, and after that disaster, he got dismissed. And another coach who was his assistant in Munich was appointed. His name is Vladimir Semenov. He was fantastic, excellent player for the Soviet Union and a very knowledgeable coach. But because of two results, fourth in Sweden in 1977 and fourth in West Berlin at the World Championships, he was replaced by Boris Popov. Boris Popov, before that point, was a national junior coach, and they won twice under his care the European Championships. The World Championships were not held at that time for the juniors. And so he was appointed in December 1978. Under him, the team came fourth at the first World Cup in Yugoslavia. And there were some controversy as to why we didn't get bronze at least. But the team started to mold, and in 1980, and I can elaborate upon that, you know, we've managed to win Olympic Games in Moscow. But you know, if I can finish with this story of myself, I think it should be interesting and educational for the younger players. So anyway, that condition that occurred with me, as I found out later on, you know, it can last between 6 to 18 months. In my case, it was 18 months, and I came out of it in July 1979. At the time, I was not in the A group of the players considered for the Olympic Games. However, as I said, I felt better. There was an international tournament, and Group A actually went to another tournament, and Group B went to a second tournament in Holland. It was also a strong, big tournament, which we won. I did very well. I was one of the best, if not the best, you know, top scorer and everything. And then that earned me the right to be included in the extended squad to prepare for the Olympic Games. And, you know, there were a series of camps where A played B, and B would normally beat A. I was in the B. And, you know, that earned me a place in another camp that was in Italy on the invitation of the Italian squad in January 1980. The team went there. We had a series of scrimmages with the Italians. And again, Group A goes and plays, Group B goes and, you know, delivers good water polo with good score. That earned me a place in another camp, which was culminating in a match against Hungary. And, you know, there I did well. And then, you know, after that, basically, I was entrenched into the final 15, 18 people. And by May 1980, I was selected into top 11. And In June, there was an international tournament in Italy where Italy, Soviet Union, I think Hungary and Holland took part. We won it. I got award for, I don't know whether best play or best skills. There was this award. And in 1980, it was Olympic Games tournament in Moscow, which culminated in our gold medal. Now, I must say that it was a strong tournament, despite I anticipate the question about boycott of that Olympic Games. But in the water polo tournament, it was a strong tournament. It was, Hungary attended, Soviet Union was Yugoslavia, which was not like Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro these days. It was a combined Yugoslavia. Italy, world champion. Spain, Holland, Cuba, they all are top sides for that period of time in history. And
sorry, Erkin, other than the Americans, obviously, were there any other top tier water polo nations who didn't play?
The American team did not come, and Germany didn't come. Australia was there. Australia was there. Australia, by the way, beat Italy at a later stage of the tournament and achieved good result. I think they came second.
Yeah.
But Italy was in our preliminary group. It was the very first match at the Olympic Games, and we were, I know that myself, we were like nervous, but not that nervous and calm. And we won that game 8-6. And then we had Spain in our group. We in fact played Spain twice in the preliminary group and then in the final top 6.
Yeah.
The system of competition was different to what is now. It was more from the standpoint of sporting principle that the best wins was better, in my opinion, because yes, there were preliminary group. You had to make top 6 in that case, and then there you had to play round robin. So we had to play Hungary, we had to play Yugoslavia, we had to play Spain again, we had to play Holland, and to achieve gold medal. Obviously, the key game at the Olympic Games was against Hungary, which we won. And if there are questions about how the game went, I can tell. But after achieving that result, then I knew that we had a good chance of getting gold. We played Yugoslavia on the final day of the tournament, and draw was enough for us, but we won it. We won it, and we won gold medal.
Erkin, who were some of the notable players that you played against in 1980?
There were many of them. Almost entire Hungarian team. I can give you a name: Tamás Faragó, Chapo, Jorge Gerindas, Molnar in the goals, Shuda in defense, István Szivas, the famous center forward. Almost any player was top brilliant player. Now that's Hungary. If we speak about Yugoslavia, their better player for me was Milivoje Bebic. Obviously, there was Rudic playing for that team, who was one of their top players. There was Roya, future coach of the Croatian team. There was Musto Krivokapic. Later on, he became president of the Serbian water polo, who was in the goals. A very good friend of mine. And Bobo Trifunovic, who was working in Australia, in Western Australia in the 90s, you may all remember.
Yes.
When we speak about Italy, Gianni De Magistris, if we get to speak later on about technique and water polo in general, that era, it was top driver. There are no players like this anymore with the technique that he employed. I can tell you, how I saw him first time in June 1977. That was my first international tournament abroad, and I looked at him and I was amazed what he did and how he did. I never had seen it before, anything like this. So he was captain of the Italian team. Now, he's speaking about Spain. Young Manuel Estiarte was at this tournament. By the way, Manuel became top goal scorer at the Olympic Games in 1980. So at the time he was in 77, I was 18, he was 17. And so therefore in 1980, I was 21, he was 20. You know, these are the players. Future national coach of Spain, help me.
Yane, was one Yane?
Yeah, Janet was coach, you know, was a captain there. So he was there, you know, you name it, almost every team had top international players. So we.
So can we maybe just dwell on Manuel Estiarte for a moment there? He's obviously played against him. You saw him start his career. I'm pretty sure he was still playing when you were coaching the national team. I'm quite sure he played still for Spain in '98 at the World Championships, which we'll talk about in detail later. But maybe you could, how did he change as a player? I mean, was he still the same player 20 years later? Presumably he was able to evolve and adjust because the sport was very different over that 20-year period that he played. Did you? What are some of your observations of him having, as I say, played against him, coached against him?
Yeah, obviously he was becoming better and better because you become more and more experienced. If I'm not mistaken, he's the only player in the world who took part in 6 Olympic Games.
I think so.
So he finished in Sydney in 2000, and his first one would have been in Moscow. And if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm mistaken, so he played for a long time. And what amazed me, how his body his organism was able to sustain the type of game he was playing. And this type of a game, you know, because of his size, he was not a big player at all, but he was one of the best, if not the best, at some stages of you know, water polo history. It was highly mobile, very fast, skillful in terms of shooting, and not only forehand shooting, but any other shot. You know, I just was listening to the rules as discussed now, how, you know, the referees should be giving you time and space and should identify whether the player genuinely goes for a goal or just tries to simulate a situation to earn a penalty. We can talk about it when we get to this stage, but these are the traits of Estiarte. Anyway, his reading of the game was obviously superb, and you know, it was a counter-attacking player first and foremost, but also mainly because of those rules that existed at the time. You know, in standard or set attacking situation, because of his mobility, he was able to, you know, implement some combinations and technical execution that you know, was making water polo, you know, beautiful and very, very entertaining and attractive. I can say the same about De Magistris. You know, what he was doing as a driver, as a mobile player, what sort of skills he had in terms of getting inside water with or without the ball, or, you know, jumping back. And in fact, our game plan at the Olympic Games in Moscow, when we played Italy, normally my job, one of my jobs would have been marking players like De Magistris, Estiarte, Farago, or Jorge for that matter, or even Gerindash. But for that particular game plan, Bakalov was marking him, and his job was not to let him inside water, and whoever was in the vicinity behind him should be guarding and watching for a sprint and then jump back from Gianni De Magistris. And you know, we've managed to implement that game plan that brought us the result that we wanted. So that would be my characterization of Manuel Estiarte, and I was surprised to see how, you know, at the age of 40 almost, you know, his last Olympic Games, he was still you know, demonstrating the traits of you know, high mobility, high speed endurance, and that was very impressive.
Yeah.
And
All right, I've got a question. It's all about Manuel. What about you? Like, what made you the player you are, and you know, what sort of, how did you start out playing? What were your strengths, and then, you know, what direction you went into to turn you into the player that you ended up?
Well, because of my size, and I was second shortest player in the Olympic team, Soviet team in 1980. My height is 178 centimeters. Katenko was smaller than I was, 176. But I was the lightest. I started the Olympic Games tournament with the weight 74 kilos, and I finished it with 72. And it was not water or fat that I lost. So my game to deal with, you know, some of the bigger players, so, you know, in that game in particular, you know, like it was then, was high mobility, speed, anticipation, reading the game. It was mobile forward position. Now it's called driver, and your job is to, you know, service the center forwards and create opportunities in attack, create counter-attacks. When it comes to defense, clean up after the center forwards who have to come back, and you help them, you know, to slow down the break if there is break of them, sort of to put down the fire, to put down counter-attack, and clean up the mess that might be there. So it required, you know, high mobility, speed endurance, you know, constant movement to torment, to torture your opponents, you know, with these quick sprints all the time. So it required the highest level of conditioning, and you know, say Olympic Games tournament in Moscow was 8 games. So it would have been any other tournament, European Championships or World Championships, and in fact, twice in particular, you know, by the last game in Moscow, that's the analysis, you know, you think about it. In the final game, we played against Yugoslavia, the game that virtually decided the gold medal. I was okay. I played almost without replacement, but, you know, I did feel that my energy levels were a bit low. Maybe if at the time I got better advice about nutrition, you know, recovery techniques, it was, you know, the way getting it was good, and the assistance that I was getting was good. But later on in my life, you know, I learned some new things with the advancement and development of sports science, sports medicine. But I did not feel my best, even though I was okay. You know, I still did the job that was required of me. The same was in Guayaquil at the World Championships in Ecuador, where in the final we played Hungary, and you know, I played the entire game without replacement, and I could feel that, you know, I was struggling a bit, even though, you know, no one probably could see it. But well, all I'm saying is that if I felt better, I could have done much more, you know, in terms of what I've contributed in the final score. So maybe my game was speed, agility, mobility, anticipation, reading of the game, you know, uncompromising attitude.
Bring it back, I say.
Now, Erkin, we're talking about 40 years ago, and, you know, you've got this the perspective of the Soviet Union being a pretty rigid sort of place. What was the level of discipline in that Soviet team relative to, say, a team of, you know, the 21st century?
Well, I can describe you my experiences, how it was. You know, I was a boy from Tashkent, that is the capital of Uzbekistan. However, it still was almost 4,000 kilometers from Moscow. And, you know, to be selected to the Soviet team, it was going without saying. I mean, I could not go and ask a question of my head coach without permission. At the same time, I knew that, you know, the treatment I received was rather fair. However, there were some political aspects, political things where, you know, we talk about, closely knit team, coherent sort of group of fantastic young men and or women for that matter, if we speak about female team, you know, but the reality was that It was highly competitive environment, and as you can imagine, 52 people going through to make a top 11 to play at the Olympic Games was not an easy task. There was a time once when I wanted to go home, and because of I felt too much pressure, and I was hardly able to bear. But the discipline, I can give you an example that when I went to the first European Championships in 1977, I observed a situation, and I was in the water, where between our top players, and that was saying about, but that's an example of one of the reasons why we did not get a better place at this European Championships. In the game, what happened, 2 Olympic gold medalists from 1972, and one of them did not do the right thing, which goes without saying. To put it in a simple term, he did not switch when he was supposed to switch to cover for another man, for another player. And that goes without saying. And I heard that, say, John, what have you done? It's just, I'm not giving you real names. And John, who did not do the right thing, just looked away, and I could see that he knew what he did. And imagine that it was going on between 2 people of 30 plus years old, and I was only 18 years old at the time. And I was in that team. They were my idols. I was looking at them. And I looked with the coaches, and that situation resulted in a goal against us. Subsequently, we lost that game. And I looked at the coaches, these 2 persons were very, very merited, they were Olympic gold medalists. And Semyonov Vladimir was coach then. I could see from their faces that they saw everything, they heard everything. And so did I, and almost the entire team, who was nearby. And after that situation, when they came home, one of these greatest players was withdrawn from the sport forever. Never ever he came back. However, he could have helped us between 76 and 80. That gives you an example of the level of discipline, playing discipline we talk about, that existed. And look, as I started with the story how it was highly competitive, and you had to earn your place under the sun. I did not have support from my teammates there. No one was coming to my room saying, "Oh, mate, you did well. You got criticized. Keep going." No, none at all. Maybe because I myself was a lonely wolf. I don't know. But everyone was in the same situation. It does not mean that we were doing some wrong things to each other, but you had to fight. You had to make the team. And there was pressure from some older people in age, and maybe in experience. And I just either could have succumbed to this, or sometimes had to show my teeth. And but in the game, when it came to the game, there were unspoken rules. You could not do anything. You have to act like a well-oiled mechanism, like a machine. And that's what makes the team a great team, and that's what eventually the team became. And this is a level of discipline, and it applied and at the time applied to everything else in the pool or outside the pool. If you do the wrong things, there is a consequence. And but we talk about playing discipline. And I think that's an ingredient that has to exist in any team that achieves good results, one way or another. And in the end, maybe because I finished my career on top, without any defeat. We became, comrades in arms, and I only had very warm and good feelings towards everyone, my teammates, my coaches. But
Erkin, winning 1980, so you win a gold medal at home, and Debbie knows what it's like to win at home. It's just that much more. What sort of incentives did you get, or awards did you get?
Well, first of all, I want to say, well, when I was playing and training, you never think about what you're going to get, rewards or anything. Obviously, like in any country, whether it is in Australia or back in the former Soviet Union, if one wins Olympic gold medal, you gain prominence. You become famous for that matter. Everyone knows it. So to answer your question honestly and truthfully, yes, after I won Olympic gold medal, I was able to, back in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, I received an apartment. Maybe it sounds a bit strange to an Australian person, but there was a shortage of individual apartments, in the former Soviet Union. I'm not saying that people did not have dreams, but again, your own apartment was, you have to wait in a queue. And sometimes, when you are 21, 22, it wouldn't have been possible. So I was 21 years old and, I waited for 1 year after, winning Olympic gold medal. I got married, I had, a young family, and my first child was born, and the government gave me an apartment, yes. But these days you hear that in some countries, if they win Olympic gold medal, I don't know, in Singapore, the very first Olympic gold medalist got $800,000, for example. And, some other places, including in Australia, there are financial rewards. So that's if that answers your question, Phil, well, that's what happened.
Erkin, ask Debbie what she got.
Debbie, what did you get?
We actually got, I think it was $12,000 each, and
Right.
we shared a stamp so people could lick the back of our heads. So that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Didn't get a unit, Deb.
No, we didn't get a unit. We didn't get a unit.
Yeah.
That was
Remember
to Ishvan's horror, I must say.
Remember in Barcelona, the king said he'd give every Spanish gold medalist $1 million, and he confirmed the morning of that final against Italy that it was $1 million each if the water polo team won. So
I know of European countries, some of the smaller ones where they obviously don't have maybe a huge amount of success. They get pensions, and there's some pretty good perks out there. We get fame. Look at us.
I did not get a pension, but what the system that was there, I should tell you maybe briefly. When I won first international gold medal in 1975, I received the title of Master of Sport of the USSR. It was a big deal. If I show you, I didn't bring it today, but a badge. It's a very impressive badge, and it was really very prestigious. So when I came back to my, school, having this title of Master of Sport of the USSR, it was a big deal. Grown-up people were getting it at the time. Now the next one was in August '79. That was after we won, a major international tournament. There was a next step that was called the Master of Sport of the USSR of international class. But when we won the Olympic gold medal in Moscow, the title was the final ultimate title. The top title that an athlete in the former Soviet Union could get is merited Master of Sport. So you have to only win Olympic gold medal or World Championships to get that title. You can't get it otherwise. In fact, the badge itself is very interesting. It was developed before World War II, during the Stalin rule of the country, and it's a very interesting badge. At some stage, maybe I can show it to you. I still have it. Yeah.
So, Erkin, after winning gold in 1980, there's a World Cup, 1981 in Long Beach. And even though USA boycotted Moscow, Russia goes to Long Beach. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, well, you see, my life in the Soviet Union and the national team consisted of 2 periods, 2 cycles between 76 and 80, and then 80 to 84. And the first cycle was extremely difficult. You know, we were coming fourth and culminated in winning Olympic gold medal. And Nicholas, and I think we discussed how the Americans didn't come to the Olympic Games in Moscow.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a question mark there as to, well, what would have happened if they came. That was our feel anyway. You know, for whatever reason, the second World Cup was held in the United States. And whether that's true or not, but we were told that the Americans paid our government a certain amount so that the Soviet team could go there to, you know, to America, and the tournament was held in Long Beach. Maybe, you know, to show that, you know, if they had come to Moscow, the outcome would have been different. I don't know, you know, maybe that's not correct. But yes, it was held there, and we went there, and all top teams were there, and well, has to be said that we proved that we were the top team. We won the World Cup. We played against America. We played against Yugoslavia, Italy. I don't remember whether Hungary was there or not, but we won that tournament. And then the third World Cup was held in 1983 in America again, in Malibu. You know, and we played all these strong teams: Hungary, America, Italy, Germany, Spain, and we won it again, which was, you know, second time we won the World Cup.
So 1981, that was your first time in the United States. Is that correct?
Correct, yes, correct.
Yeah, so obviously very interesting. Well, interesting is a flippant word. It was a very tense time, obviously. How did you feel being in the United States? What were your observations? Were you able to talk to many people, whether they be the athletes or other Americans? Did you get an impression for the country? Or, I mean, I know you'd been to Western countries before and outside of the Eastern Bloc, but not to America. The height of capitalism, or the center of capitalism, as you no doubt referred to it.
Yeah, at the time, Phil Know and other, you know, people of that generation would know, you know, there was world competition between two superpowers, the Soviet Union and the United States of America. So we were coming representatives of, as Ronald Reagan put it, you know, evil empire. We went to the citadel of imperialism, you know, world imperialism or capitalism, United States. Now, I personally, and we were exchanging, you know, with our friends, with my friends, our teammates, you know, some of them, you know, how impressed we were with America, you know, what we saw. I went to capitalist countries before, like Italy and Sweden. You know, we were impressed then. I was impressed. But when we came to America, it was something. You know, I mean, the highways, you know, the way life was organized, you know, the buildings and well, people were different.
Yeah.
However, what we discovered, maybe, you know, it's only, you know, because we had limited circle of acquaintances or people with whom we could communicate and talk. But there were students, there were spectators, there were administrators, officials. But we discovered that it appeared to us, it looked like this, that we knew about the Americans in America as a country more than they did about us. You know, I mean, we knew, like, you know, how many states were there. We knew all the major city states and people, economy, and history. But when they were asking where you come from, you know, I come from Tashkent. Where the hell is that? You know, we don't know. You know, so that's the impression we got, you know, and I got. But other than that, I can say that the United States of America is a great country, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, was one of the greatest at the time, and still is. So we were impressed. We were impressed with what we saw. Yes.
Okay.
By the way, on the way back, when we flew from Los Angeles to Washington to catch a flight to Moscow, we happened to fly in one plane with Edward Kennedy, the then senator, brother of
Yes,
former president
yes.
of the United States. And I happened to have a brief conversation with him. My English was not as good as it is now, but it was a memorable encounter. He was an impressive man. I don't know whether we impressed him or not, but he looked at us with interest.
Yeah.
I
They
don't
tell
think
me
he would have met many people from the evil empire.
no, but history does say that he was quite a broad thinker, so I'm sure he would have enjoyed the exchange.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Should have been president. Should have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. So, Erkin, you mentioned you won World Cup in 81, you won World Cup in 83. You haven't talked about World Championships in 82.
Yeah. We went to Guayaquil World Championships, and that was my second World Championships. At the time, they were held once in 4 years. You remember that in 78 we came fourth only. In 82 we managed to win it. And by the way, Australia was in our group, as was the United States. And that was, I think, the first time we played Australia at an official tournament. Australia was in Moscow in 1980, but we did not get to play them. But in Guayaquil we played them. Anyway, it was a smooth tournament for us until the final game. Along the way, we beat Australia, we beat USA, we beat Germany, West Germany. It was a rather tense game in the semi-final against Holland. We beat them by, I think, 4-2, by 2 goals. And I remember it was very, very, like a lot was at stake, obviously. And it was a game with minimal mistakes, committed by our team. And it was a rather conservative game plan because the Dutch athletes were all, quite big, robust, with good speed, good mobility, and we just had to be very, very careful and wait for their mistakes. And so we managed to beat them. But the toughest encounter happened to be against Hungary. What happened? We went the entire tournament very smooth. We were flying. I mean, it was still not that easy, but we went without major problems against any opponent. And Hungary, on the contrary, and we were watching obviously what was going on. In particular, you watch Hungary, you watch Italy, you watch Yugoslavia. They were struggling, they were battling, and they just made it to the final. That's how it happened, at least from what we saw. And again, I already mentioned that in that game, I felt low on energy. However, again, played without replacement game, and it's only my feelings, my perspective. And the final quarter, the fourth quarter, started 8-5. We were losing, but because of the way we achieved results in the previous games, draw was good for us. We had a much better goal difference, and that was sufficient for us to achieve draw to become world champions. And 8-5 down last quarter, but we managed to reduce the deficit with about 45, not 45, I think 1 minute to go. It's 8-all, and that's when we scored the 8th goal to make it even. So the Hungarians get the ball, and there were 2 referees. One of them was field referee, was an American, Bill Freddy, his name, and the other one, I don't recall who was there. I'll check later on. Anyway, as we expected, as I would have been expecting, they got an extra man. And at the time, extra man was played, I think, 45 seconds. Imagine that, to defend extra man for 45 seconds. So, and the type of shooters, Farago, Horkai, Gerendash,
yeah,
we had to defend. So pass, short block. The ball drops into neutral territory, and any referee would tell you, you know, you get your chance in attack. Neutral territory, as a rule, you know, if both touch the ball, the call goes to the defending team. Anyway, free throw to them. I'm not saying that it was unobjective. All I'm registering. And I look at the clock. You know, it's very slow. It goes like a year, like a week. Then again, pass, short, block, ball drops. Again, free throw to them, to Hungary. And again, pass. Third time, block, free throw to them. And I look at the clock. The clock is near the end of the game. So we defend and we win. We have all champions. And I look at the clock. They're passing. The clock goes. A siren comes, and Gerendash takes another shot. Goal. Freddy shows to the center of the field. It's a goal. Well, you know, my heart sinks. You know, I think, well, you know. But I knew that the game clock was over, finished. And you know, we talk about Cold War force, you know, and global competition between the Soviet Union and United States of America. All of a sudden, the timekeeper, and I never saw it before or after, and his name was, I think, John Felix, an American man, an American timekeeper, stands and says, no goal, no goal. The Soviets won it. Anyway, what happened after that? The technical committee, water polo committee, went away for 1 hour. They were counseling, watching video, and they came out and said, no, there was not goal. The goal was scored after the game was over. USSR world champion. Well, that's an interesting story about you know, that world championships, how it happened for us. About the emotions and feelings that went through your mind, you know, over the 1 year, 1 hour that you wait for the outcome of the decision, and that's how it was. That's how we won the World Championships. And I think another story is that one more gold medal to make a full complement, complex, you know, was European Championships in 1983 that was held in Rome. And again, you know, Italy was host nation, and Hungary was there, all the other big nations were there. And that is where an interesting episode happened, you know, after the match against Italy. That was the host team. And Italy was, you know, with all due respect to them, they were pumping up the atmosphere. You know, we would win this European Championships. We would beat, they called us Russians or Soviets. And, but, you know, the game went our way. And in particular, Kabanov in that particular game was really on fire. He scored several brilliant goals. I remember that. But after the game, we were standing under the stands, and the you know, Italian public, tifosi, started to throw at us objects. You know, like you tell me, you know, tomatoes, I don't know, apple, little coins, and so we had to be escorted by Carabinieri. You know, Carabinieri, the special police. So we were escorted to the bus, and then we were escorted to our residence, and the next morning we flew out. And so that was an interesting situation, and but you know, also a memorable one. So that's the story. That's the history, you know, how it was.
Well, Erkin, we could discuss water polo with you and your life in the sport all night. That's pretty obvious. We haven't done half of what we wanted to do tonight. So we are going to do something a little bit out of the ordinary for the show. We're going to come back next week and do Erkin Shagaev Part 2. And I'm really looking forward to that. But we've run out of time. It's been an absolute delight hearing about your history. And we'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Well, I apologize if I was too talkative. And,
no, that's okay. That's what we're here for. But we'll do it next week. You get a double go where everybody else only gets a single. But to our panel, Danny, who's now, there he is. He's popped up. Danny, Phil, Debbie, Nick, once again, Erkin. Thanks, guys. Scotty, and of course, Noel in pre-production. Next show, the next Whistleblower will be on Monday, November 9. That is next Monday. It'll be Erkin Shagaev Part 2. So don't miss it.
Does that mean Debbie and I get to come back next week as well, or do you get two new guest panelists to interrogate Erkin?
You'll have to talk to your buddy in the middle there.
No, everyone's coming back.
Terrific. Thank you, Phil.
Right. So next Monday, right? Not in a fortnight, next Monday, Erkin Shagaev Part 2. That has been the Whistleblower. Thanks for joining us. You can always catch a replay of the program on our Facebook page. Please do. And you'll be up to date, and then you can catch up to the rest of Erkin next week. And I've just got a little inkling that Erkin may have a couple of good things to say that we'll all appreciate. But I've been fascinated by tonight's segment with the former Australian and Russian men's team coach. Thanks for joining us. This has been The Whistleblower.